right, welcome in. It is a pleasure to be on the 1010XL social channels, wherever you guys might be picking us up now, or if you watch it later, we appreciate it. Joe C. from XL Primetime, and we got both sides of the ball covered. It's our brand new Jaguar podcast. Launched it last week. We've got Coach Mark Duffner to my left. We're talking countless years on the defensive side of the ball, and I think countless years for Coach Gerald Ingram on the offensive side of the ball. Both of them coached right here in Duval, linebackers coach for the Jags under, three coaches, Duff and then Gerald Ingram. How many years under Tom Coughlin here in the city of Jacksonville?
Total 23 with Tom and 9 years here.
Yeah, 9 years here. So you guys have seen some good ball. That's why we decided to call it both sides of the ball. And we would invite you, if you guys find us on the stream anywhere, just load up, throw some questions our way. We're going to spend about a half hour. Going to look back at this last game against Cincinnati, and then we're going to dive into Houston coming up on Sunday. So Mark Duffner, Gerald Ingram, I want you guys to jump in both sides of the ball. Now, I got to go offense. I don't know if I remember. I can't remember if I went defense last week, but I got to go offense, Coach Ingram, because we just had you on XLP, and we were talking about there were enough points scored against the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game, but everyone is coming out of this game talking about what is going on with Brian Thomas Jr. Let's start there. I want to get both of you guys' opinion. A tough subject about whether or not a player is all of a sudden becoming a little nervous about running across the middle and catching footballs.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a situation that has to be addressed because the criteria of a receiver is having the courage to be able to catch the ball inside. Mm-hmm. You can't have an individual on offense within the pass game have an issue. That might be a mental block, whatever it is. It's something that we've been seeing. This wasn't the first weekend. We've been questioning certain things that have happened. He just doesn't seem like the same person as camp went on. And you kept thinking things were going to go, we're going to get better, and they haven't. So it just, right now it just looks like it's snowballing. But the best thing is that it's happening now and not later on in the season.
True.
So, whatever he has to do to get out of this slump or whatever he's going through, and how we can make him feel better about things. It'll be addressed on a one-on-one situation and find out how we can get this corrected. And what we'll see in the game, you may not put him in those kind of situations as a coach. Mm-hmm. You let him be a player. You don't take it away from him, but you'll try to find ways for him to get his confidence back.
Yeah.
Because he has to prove it in front of his own peers.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing, because they're looking at the tape and saying, I can't believe he did that. That goes against what we're trying to do as a team,
right?
And your position and all of us together. We just got it. And I think they know that there's an issue.
Yeah. It could get in the locker room quickly because other guys are going to talk. Coach Duffner, when I don't know how you handle it, but what do you think about Brian Thomas Jr. generally speaking first, and then we'll kind of attack it?
Well, as everybody's been talking about, I think he's in a little bit of a slump,
mm-hmm.
and it happens in all sports, whether you're a shooter in basketball, a hitter in baseball,
right.
or pitchers, and whatever the case may be. I think he's in a slump, and it's already been mentioned. It showed up a little bit in training camp, and he's got to get out of it. He's capable of doing it. You've already seen he's got a body of work that many people thought was the best of anybody on this team. So we've got the team has to help this guy. That's what we're team about, coaches and players, everybody working together, help get this guy out of the slump, get back on his feet the way he can do it. Jamar Chase is a rookie in training camp, couldn't catch a lick. I mean, everybody thought he was a bust.
That's a good point. That's a good one to use.
I mean, and this is as good as there is anybody. This guy's capable of being an elite receiver. He showed he has not flashes. He did it last year. Well, now we got to get back to it. So it happens to people. I'm just telling you, I saw it firsthand with Jamar. Now, Jamar is as good as there is in the game.
And just to let people know, you were up in Cincinnati for a number of years, so you saw this guy and Joe Burrow and that whole operation come in to fruition and become stars in the NFL.
Absolutely. And I think that this will come back. I mean, I think right now there's plenty of talk about it. There's plenty of focus on it. I think this is going to happen the way it's supposed to, with the team working on it together, coaches and players alike.
Right.
Not only challenging him, but reinforcing him. I mean, we all need help every once in a while. We all slip and fall once in a while. So I just would suggest that I think this is going to come back the way it should. I think they're surrounded an offense that allow him to be productive as he was last year. It's going to even be better, I think, coming forward. So I think this will all be behind us.
And Coach Ingram, I love the basketball, the baseball. I can throw NASCAR in there.
Sure.
When you're trying to go 200 miles an hour and fit your car in a spot that could result in you going into it. No matter what we're talking about. And he took a shot in the preseason that was kind of a NASCAR type of hit, and then he's got to get over that and figure out how to go back out and make an earn and receiving the football.
Yeah, because, we play a violent sport, and it's always going to be there. And he's probably been there before. Mm-hmm. But, there's, like I said, there's something back there that has to be addressed, and he's the only one that can address it. And he's got to get his confidence back. Mm-hmm. He blocked on the field. He did some other things that he did what he was supposed to do, but in certain situations that he was put in, he questioned. Mm-hmm. He questioned that situation. He questioned doubt. And we all know we've been in this sport long enough that once you used to say, if you start questioning yourself, it's time to retire.
Yeah.
Okay, but this kid's a young kid, and he's just going through a phase that he's got to get through and then put it past him and let's go win some games. Mm.
All right, so I wanted to get that out just so we could get a feel for it. But both of you guys, now the game, okay? From a defensive point of view, Coach, when you're looking at a team that goes 90-plus yards with a backup quarterback and you're trying to do everything you can to stop them, and 2 fourth downs, they keep moving the ball. Let's jump in on that last drive that Cincinnati sealed the win, basically.
And, that's really probably the toughest drive they had the entire game.
Yeah.
And it was when we had to make plays to win the game. It's easy to second guess, but, there had to be a bust, I think, in coverage on the 4th and 3, where they got the ball off to the running back Chase Brown.
Which was at their own 18.
In the flat. So a couple of things need to be said. The defense got them to 4th down twice during that drive.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And all we got to do is make one of those plays. So the plus was, yes, they did some good things. It wasn't like it was just Katie bar the door.
Sure.
Now, but it had to be a bust because there was a zone pressure, I believe, and I think Trayvon Walker was dropping. He was like in the hook, and it looked like Hunter was in coverage, so he had no flat defender. And so, something went down on what could have been a good call, but maybe miscommunication or execution. So there was a clear issue there. Mm-hmm. The other one was the 4th and 10, I think it was, and there was the penalty on Travis Hunter. And I'll say this to you: there was 2 calls in the game where, they could be. We can argue them ad infinitum.
Right.
I think personally that was not a good call.
Right.
I think it's 4th and 10. It's incomplete pass.
He got his head back.
Pass defended.
Yeah.
Ball game.
Yeah.
But there's also one earlier when Devin Lloyd picks off the interception, and I'm not sure he's down.
Yeah.
When you look at that, I don't think he was down, and that's a touchdown, and that's ball game potentially because we got nothing out of the interception as the game went on. Mm-hmm. So there's a touchdown we left on the field from that particular call, and I don't mean to get on the officials, but geez, well, Pete, there's 2 situations that if we got any ounce of clarity on the doggone thing, we get one of them anyway. Yeah,
the one with Devin Lloyd probably drives you more crazy because, Coach Ingram, they can throw a flag on a PI whenever they want. Because they said Travis Hunter didn't get his head turned around. He did it at the last minute, and he did have his hand up. Yeah. And it was not a catchable ball. But what are you going to do?
Everything you said
but
is
you know
accurate.
what? Yeah. You put a bam situation in there.
They're going to throw a flag.
I'm going to throw that as an offensive coordinator. Yeah. I'm going to throw it and see how it comes up.
Yeah.
Because in this league, you never know because receivers get molested all the time. Yeah. It's a battle on that, and most of the time they don't even make that call.
Yeah.
But in the heat of the game, depending on the situation, it's a bam. And the only thing I would tell the receiver, the defensive back, 2 steps before you turn your head, he probably wouldn't even make that call. Mm-hmm. But if you go bam and turn your head and make the play,
right?
He's sitting there thinking there's a battle. I'm on the home team sideline, and everybody's screaming and hollering. Everybody's looking to see that it's going to be a pass interference, and everybody's going to say, "Why didn't I call pass interference?" So toss a coin up. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's on our sideline, it might be a different deal.
Yeah, that is 100%.
But I'm throwing that ball.
Well,
you have to.
When I looked at that thing, and I looked at it a bunch of times like we all did, the official that made the call was downfield, and his angle was he saw Yoshi, who was number 80 for the Bengals, the wide receiver, falling this way, falling away. indicative of potential contact, which there really was not.
No.
Yeah. No, I think he made that call before then.
Yeah.
He was ready to make that
But
call.
that sight line that you're talking about, so he'd already made his mind up, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, and had the only thing you wish is that had they really looked at the thing. I mean, from the angle he had, it probably looks like it's interference because of that, but that's not really what did in fact happened. Yoshi fell on his own, was going down on his own without contact, and I'm not saying that to defend or deny anybody, but.
And then also the catchable ball.
Correct. That's
aspect
it.
of
It was
too.
non-catchable.
Yeah.
You know, and that in the I mean, every other time, sometimes, and I've been on the short end of those way more than on the positive end of my career. But at any rate, it went down as it did.
Okay, so let's do positives then. Okay, we all know there's a Brian Thomas Jr. question and concern, and we know that it didn't go the way that Jacksonville wanted at the end.
Yeah.
What about some bright spots?
I think the bright spots is the confidence to score, the confidence to start fast, the confidence that we are a pretty good offensive team, that our quarterback can lead us in that situation. I think we most of the day we controlled the drive.
Jacksonville
drives.
controlled the game.
We controlled the drives, and the only thing that stopped us in any of those drive situations was not the defense; it was us. Okay. Even to the point of 3rd and 2, that's a quarterback decision. I mean, that's a coach's decision call.
Right.
I think a better call puts us in a better situation. There's not one time that I think they would have stopped us on the run. That's how we came into this game. I thought that's how we should have been into that game on that situation. There were some great things done with with schematically and and how we're going to use our running backs, and there were some good learning situations, but the most important thing is the confidence that we have that we're going to start fast. We're going to take the ball on the coin flip, and he's challenged our team in enough situations in 2 games that be ready, be ready.
Yeah.
Buckle up because you never know what I'm going to call.
Yeah, I love that about Liam. And I know that Coach Duffner was up in Cincinnati last year, but you obviously have seen enough of this football team to get a feel for what they're going to look like now. So I'm going to get you after I get Coach Ingram because you watched them last year. You saw what a Doug Peterson offense looked like. This looks not night and day, but it looks a hell of a lot better, a lot more weapons and explosiveness to it.
Yeah, it looks more decisive to me. It looks quicker and decisive, and he's not caught hanging on to the ball. Now he's still and Liam mentioned it to him, and I know he's talking to him. When he gets to an object receiver route pattern, he has a tendency to stare it down, and that's what he's going to do. Okay. Liam's trying to coach him through that, and he would do that in the past. It says, wait a minute, we're throwing a corner route, and the guy's got outside leverage. You're waiting for it to open, and it's not going to open. Get to your next progression.
Okay.
And that's what you saw last night out of their quarterback, and it's similar to the same system, is get the ball out quick.
Yeah.
Be decisive.
And you're talking about the Bucks and Baker.
It helps the protection. It helps the protection. Lets the offensive lineman know that, hey, he's not going to, on a 7-step drop or 5-step drop, that ball's got to get out. Somebody's got to be where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to demand that out of the quarterback. And between his footwork change, his eyes changing, and I think his recognition of defenses will help him grow this year.
I love it. Now, you were coaching last year, so and the last couple of seasons, you've seen Jacksonville on tape. You've had to study and game plan against them. How much different in your mind is this offense?
I think it's been excellent, and I mean that sincerely. When I'm going to piggyback what Gerald said, first of all, I mean, they open the game, their first drive, they go down. It's great play selection, great play distribution, go down and score. As he mentioned, they take the toss 2 weeks in a row, get points both times, field goal last week, touchdown this week, excellent. Second drive, we're rolling until the ball gets tipped and it's intercepted.
Unbelievable.
Third drive, we go down the field and score. So, I mean, the first 3 drives are like you write them up. You couldn't have done any better as far as that's concerned. And the utilization of players, like we talked to running backs, not only in the running game but in the passing game.
Yep.
Big plays. When you think about, they had 410 total yards. It's the second game in a row in opening this season where they've been over 375. Haven't done that since Coach was here in 2000.
That's amazing. Think about that.
A lot of positives.
Say that again, Coach. That was a 24-year gap between
Yeah, since 2000 season, when Gerald was coaching here, they haven't had back-to-back over 375 total yards offense in a game, and they've demonstrated that coming out of the blocks. I mean, that's, you want to talk about positives. That's big time. 5.1 a rush. You look over on the other side of the ball on defense, they start fast. It's 3 and out. They bat a pass that could have been, Walker has a hell of a game, but they bat a pass of Joe's that could have been, I mean, right now it could have been 14-0. That I'm not so sure still that wasn't a forward, I mean, a fumble recovery type play.
As opposed to an incomplete pass.
Correct. Correct. You know, so great rush there in the first series. I mean, when you look at what the two ends did, Walker, I think, was the player of the game with his production. Hines Allen also had a number of pressures on the quarterback, so excellent there, but they were good in 2 minutes. I mean, when you get 3 takeaways, when you get 3 sacks, I mean, shoot, the takeaways gave us 10 points on offense. I mean, all this stuff is a real positive. So, I mean, I think that a lot of things to be positive about in terms of what you saw coming out. We just got to finish.
So, yeah, here's the thing, is that people keep saying same old Jags, and I'm trying to argue back, Coach. It's not the same old Jags. It may have been the same old result, at least in some fans' mind, but this is a totally different product.
Yeah, in all fairness, it's not. You know, I mean, this is a new team. It's a new situation. It's a growing situation. So you can't make the same comparisons.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of building going on right now, and a new head coach and a new team and new players on this field. And once we learn how to finish and take care of and learn our offense and learn who we are and who we can count on, because the players have found out that they're going to get the right players on the field.
Yeah.
So, you know, nothing is secure for anybody on this team as far as that goes. So they understand that right now.
Yeah.
Now they got to learn how to handle the X's and O's and compete, you know, be competitive and not get their feelings hurt when they're challenged and forced to be accountable. Do their job.
I really like, and this is why I like the fact that we got both sides of the ball with experienced coaches, because we get on XL Primetime, and I think most of us would agree, the more talent you have on the field, the better chance you have to win. That's never going to be debated. But the effect that coaches can have, there were a lot of guys that were in this locker room a year ago that are back in this locker room, and Trayvon and Josh Hines Allen being 2 good examples that had much better games against Cincinnati, really the first 2 weeks for both of those guys, because they're being coached better. And you can go to the offensive side, and ETN's had a little bit of a rebirth. The line has had a little bit of a rebirth because they're being coached better.
Let me say this to you, that there's no doubt that they walked off that field knowing they should have won that game.
Yes.
And that's a good football team that they played. I mean, a good team. They were ahead of the game, in control of the game till 18 seconds left in the game.
Never trailed.
Never trailed.
Yeah.
And so, and actually and Gerald and you both said it earlier, you know, if we don't give the game away a little bit on ourselves, we have, I don't know how many penalties, but, you know, too many pre-snap penalties, self-inflicted wounds, you know, that show up if we don't turn the ball over, if we protect it, it's a decisive victory against, again, a very good team on the road. So I think our team, in fact, I'm sure our team felt like, son of a buck.
Yeah.
You know, we're a good football team. We just played toe-to-toe and should have won a game against a good football team on the road. So, again, let's take care of our business. Let's clean up the penalty situation. Let's protect the football. Let's protect the quarterback. By the way, the offensive line is playing pretty damn good, and that was a major concern listening to people in preseason. So a lot of pluses, a lot of step forwards. Just got to keep making progress.
Yeah, a lot of things are coming together. And we just have to be patient as they go through their growing pains. And that's the hardest thing to deal with.
Yeah. How do you get rid of all those illegal shifts? Because there were a ton of those penalties that Coach Duff is referring to. Drive you crazy type of.
You might want to do less, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a big believer in pre-snap attack, whether it be cadence, whether it be motion, whether it be tempo, all things that you should be able to control. But obviously it was a little too much, and maybe it was on the road too. But the quarterback's having to move people around and get them set when that shouldn't be an issue on that in terms of that. So that's a distraction to his play too. He's trying to get everything else going. So, you know, the coaches, I'm sure, are going to look at that and try to take advantage of what they can in terms of motion shifts, but not to our.
Because I like the fact that Trevor doesn't, and they pointed it out in the broadcast, Trevor doesn't have the wristband where he just says, what is this, play 31? He can open, he's got to hear the play, call the play, and then diagnose at the line of scrimmage.
I mean, there's pluses and minuses, depending on what your system is. You know, when you have the wristband, that's a tempo offense. You're trying to get the plays in faster and more correct.
Right.
In situations. There are times actually we played Dallas Cowboys and Jerry find a way to screw our headsets up. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait,
Kevin Gilbride's throwing his headpiece out on the sideline and saying, well, every time it doesn't happen anywhere else, but when we play in Dallas.
Are you sure you ain't talking about Belichick? I'm kidding. Yeah.
But the communication of things, certain quarterbacks like to have everything in front.
Right.
Peyton Manning did not like a lot of shifts and moves and things like that because he wants to be able to know exactly what the defense is lined up in, what's the coverage, what's the blitz, this and that. If I want to go empty and bring the guy in, hey, it's zone, it's man, whatever.
Right.
Okay. Mike Martz, he might say, hey, I want to try and confuse defense. Okay. So now I want to change the leverage points. Okay. I want to flip the tight end to get a front. Now when I flip the tight end, get the front, do I get the coverage the right way so I can run the ball to get to the bubble? Or I want to be able to cut back to the bubble. So, some of that window dressing
and it's
is
all going to happen
but
really fast.
That's why I said on Sunday, I said, we had that problem happen in New York, and we put it on Eli and said, hey, you have got to make sure guys are set. Okay? So if the first one is on the 3 down, okay, what's the next call to send the second one? So everybody knows the order of getting it done. So if you don't set the precedence of, what's the order? It's the tight end first on the 3 down, on the down call, and then the next call is the receiver motion. Okay, you've got to be the guy who controls that.
Yeah,
and that you got to put that on the quarterback because the problem I had, it didn't get fixed.
Right. Because there were back-to-back, and there were some decent plays that were called back.
Oh, big time.
And I would think, Coach Duff, from the linebacking position that you coached for so many years and defense as a coordinator, if you are operating with a little bit of symphony on the offense, that'll give you guys fits.
Absolutely. No, that does. You're trying to get people out of position. You're trying to get their eyes distracted. I thought, Gerald, you did a great job of just explaining how motion and shifts work to help the offense, whether it be play selection, all the things that you just mentioned well to the audience here. But on defense, you want to try to get the linebackers and the secondary's eyes off of the targets or where they should be in terms of their assignments. And if you can put any indecision in them, well, shoot, now that gives a huge advantage to the offense.
Yeah, and I think that what you're seeing now is not a reintroduction, an introduction of something that this team hasn't had. Motion. I think I gave you guys the number before. They were one of the teams that ran the fewest number of motion plays just to identify on the defensive side what's going on. I love the hell out of that as far as being able to play 2 or 3 calls off of one plan that you have when you walk to the line.
But also, like Duff had said, you got to be careful. Sometimes you can do it too much. And we've been in games before we said, okay, the defense just sat there and said, all right, we're going to play cover 2. You guys done? You wasted all that time, and they don't really care. They just bump the linebackers and say, all right, you done?
All right, so I get that part of it. All right, so a couple more things that came out of this game. The extended drives, the scoring, like you said, Coach Duff, as far as what they were able to do. And then when you come to those big moments, and I just maybe kind of highlight a couple of guys here, because Devin Lloyd had been put on notice. There was no getting away from that. He makes a big-time defensive play. You mentioned earlier he may not have been on the ground. That could have been a scoring play. Bottom line is he had himself a good game. You mentioned a couple of others. What about a Tyson Campbell? He went head-to-head with one of the best, both of them actually, Jamar and T, and it just looked like he struggled for 3/4 of that game. Made a couple plays late, but not after giving up some big plays.
Well, he had a tough assignment.
That's a tough one.
They're as good as there is in the league, and that's where they're where the Russian coverage have got to work. If you give anybody time, especially against those 2 guys,
very true.
It's tough sledding. And so he battled hard. I mean, there was no lack of that. I think he's better coming out of it. I'm glad he had the experience, as we already talked about, right now early in the season, because we're going to face another darn good one this coming week. But I think that. I think I was most impressed with, again, as you mentioned to me, how Lloyd played, how Walker, I think, played his best game. My gosh, he wound up having the sack. He had 5 tackles. He had a batted pass. He had a tackle for loss. I think he had 3 quarterback hits. I think that Foye continues to play well. He's around the ball. Wingard makes a critical interception.
Beautiful
and
play.
And a momentum gainer. I mean, both of those. Lloyd and Wingard's second half interceptions, big time for us in terms
of Eric Murray
Eric Murray
back-to-back weeks.
That's another one. Yeah, and he's active as far as that's concerned. So I think a lot of positives from the player standpoint, and we just got to build on that. And then when you look over on the other side, when Tootin came in and played so well, we've been blowing the horns for him, and what a great job he did in the game. Etienne continues to play. Coach mentioned Parker Washington. Geez, oh Pete, I mean, first play was explosive play. I mean, he's out there wanting the ball and making plays and blocking well too. So I think the offense, we got so many good weapons now. We just got to start, utilizing them. We have the running backs, get a little more involved with the wide receivers, the tight end in the first freaking drive. I'm going to tell you up front, another call.
Yeah.
Strange is we're going in to score. They reroute. It's definitely
that was
illegal.
an absolute.
No, it's illegal use of hands.
Yeah.
I would use it as a coaching
At
clinic.
a minimum.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah,
And
it
so,
could have been defensive holding, illegal use. It was not PI, but the other two, without a doubt.
No, and I'm not trying to be a crybaby, but geez, I mean, these are blatant in my opinion. And so, again, we just got to clean up the pre-snap penalties as far as that's concerned. Take away the positives right now. Tighten down on some things that, again, there weren't. I mean, heck, they only had. They didn't have many explosive plays. I'm talking about the Bengals. We had, in the first half, we had probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, takeaways and explosives are going to win games for you if they're on your side. So we've got to continue to build on it.
It's so funny because you could take that because this team a year ago didn't have a whole lot of takeaways and had a hell of a lot of explosives against them. So, honestly, they have cleaned that side of the ball up, but they still didn't have enough when it mattered. How do you get Parker Washington going a little more involved?
Well, I just think they got to move the receivers around and figure out how to get him on the field. And you know where you're going to put him. You're going to put him in the slot, and you're going to put some other people around, and without hurting some feelings. But it's just the way it is. You got to get the good players on the field, and you got to get enough plays out of them so they can contribute to winning the game. And at the same time, it just makes the team more competitive.
I'm going to look and see if I can find these numbers. Daniel Griffiths, I think, was one of the guys. Well, Daniel did one. Daniel, I'll give him credit. He said, according to PFF, Trevor Lawrence now has 122 drops throughout his NFL career. And that's an 8.4% drop in that time. You can't have that. But at the same time, Trevor's also leading the league in turnovers. So he's sharing in some of the responsibility here. But how do you coach off of that, Coach? Because Diami had what could have been viewed as a game winner.
Yes.
We had another opportunity for him to catch a ball, and we'll get to the whole Trevor and Liam conversation. And then we got the BTJ drops. Travis Hunter's had a couple of opportunities that how do you get these guys to hang on to it?
Well, I think, each group has got to be accountable for each group because each group has their, what they're accountable for and what's accepted by. It's just like fumbles. How do you handle the fumbles? How do you handle the drops? Some coaches, you get them on the jugs.
Right.
You try to turn these things into positive. Hey, maybe I'm not catching enough balls this week. Maybe I'm not put in those kind of situations on routes enough. So you try to build off of, it's not enough. You just got to get it done. You got to get your confidence.
Right.
You got to be consistent about how you do things. Do you always put your eyes and nod your head down on the ball and you're on catching the ball? You can't be thinking about running and catching the ball at the same time because you're losing the mechanics of actually catching the ball consistently if you're thinking about running as opposed to catching. You're just taking for granted the ball's in your hands. This game is so fast that a tip ball turns into an interception.
And that's
what happened.
That's what I want to say. I mean, to defend Trevor a little bit, both interceptions were balls that we had hands on offense.
Yeah.
Came off of our hands, and give credit to the Bengals. They were in position to catch a tipped overthrow ball.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, geez, oh, Pete, I mean, you talk about it wasn't like he just threw it to the other team.
No.
I mean, these are catchable balls for us that we got to make. We got to catch the ball.
But you saw the one situation,
Sure.
that we want to talk about
Sure.
BTN.
Yeah.
He runs the in route,
I know.
and the safety and the linebacker are almost standing next to each other.
I know
it was cover 4, right?
Yeah.
In that situation, the receiver, at least the way we taught it was on an in route, that turns into a curl.
Yeah. No, that's exactly
to
right.
defend yourself, because if not, you're Daryl Stingley, and you're getting hit. You're going from zone to zone, and you're hitting up.
Yeah.
But
that's a good
the receiver's got to show the quarterback that, hey, once I come out, middle safety, the middle is closed.
Yeah.
Middle field's closed, and you got to come downhill.
The field is cut in half again, basically, right?
Yeah.
In other words, you can't go end to end and cut it in half. It's from the middle of the field cut in half.
Right.
You got to sit down on that.
Right. Or no, just when you come out of that break, you see where that window was?
Right.
He went from, because some people would say, well, if he would have thrown it sooner, he has no problem. Well, he couldn't throw it sooner because he was waiting for the guard and the three technique to get out of the way so it doesn't get batted down.
Right.
All right, so here are these numbers, and then we'll get a quick thought on Houston before we're done. But with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. as his target, okay, 13 of 33, 110 yards. So we're talking about a low percentage, 0 TDs, 3 interceptions. Other receivers, the rest of the team, he's 30 of 40 for 339 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I don't know whether he's forcing it. Both sides need to figure out the best way to correct this. How about that, Coach?
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that they were so productive and prolific a year ago, I have optimism that that's going to come back. I mean, Brown and some of these other guys are newer receivers, and he's working with them. So I got to feel that we can get that fixed. I really do. It's been done before.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just hoping, because like I said, I like what I see
Very
so far.
fixable.
Yeah, I like what I see so far. It's got me fired up. It's got a lot of fans fired up. All right, so fire us up for the Houston Texans on Sunday. Couple thoughts as far as what you're thinking against this Texans team.
I'm thinking about running the ball. I think they have issues on running the ball between the tackles, and I think if we run the ball, come out running the ball successful, that I hope we interject some RPOs in this game, and take advantage of them, because I think their safeties are very aggressive, and obviously we know the one.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think we got to take advantage of play action, and I think if we put Travis in the slot, or somewhere in the slot areas, that we can get the ball, him and Washington, we can get the ball pushed up the field on a big play.
Yeah, and you want to see him ball in space on the move where they can turn it up.
Yes.
What are a couple things you see?
Well, I agree with Coach. Starting off real quickly, that Tampa Bay had 169 yards rushing last night. And
they just kept peppering it.
They kept peppering it, and it's a great front, but they're not very big inside. And so those two ends, you got to have an answer for now.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to protect against
Daniil
them.
Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. are men.
Real men.
Yeah.
I mean, and this defense overall is fast, athletic, and they've got recoverability. They can get back in plays. I mean, Stingley and Lassiter. I mean, you better have answers for them. They got players now.
Yeah.
But I think that again. They struggled defending the run. They've given up points. I think that they played not very well on third down. I've had an issue as far as that's concerned. And so, going after them in terms of the running game, like Coach is talking about, and then on the other side of the football, you just got to contain that quarterback. I mean, that guy has got good vision. He's got scramble ability. He had a tremendous scramble late in the game, which was big for him. But they've struggled on third down too. They're 22% on third down in the first 2 games. So playing good third down defense, as Coach mentioned, it's a divisional game. We need to win this game.
Better believe it.
We haven't beaten these suckers at home in 8 years.
Yeah.
And so we're overdue as far as that's concerned. Eliminate the penalties. It's going to be about us. So protect the ball, protect the quarterback, catch the ball, win the game.
Yeah, get rid of those.
I think
illegal
also we
shifts.
saw last night, we saw a little bit of our own defense against these guys, and they have some protection issues. They turned some people loose last night. I thought they struggled with blitz zero. I think he was effective only one time in blitz zero, but some of the other times it was like, who has this guy, who has that guy? They were turning some people loose, and they got us. They got Tampa was able to get him on a okey doke with the linebacker, but the mug look that we have showed the last 2 games, they don't have an answer for. A steady answer for. I think there was some correlation in what we do that will be successful in getting to that quarterback, as well as confusing that quarterback and dropping out of there.
It'd be nice, because CJ's been a tough one. He's been a good operator back there against the past defenses that he's seen the last couple of years. So we'll see. Great stuff, guys. Both sides of the ball. Gerald Ingram, Mark Duffner, we appreciate it. Thanks to you guys tuning in, be it live or when you go back and find it. More Jaguar programming on our YouTube channel. All you got to do is go to 1010XL and check it all out. Ozzie, thanks, my man. Doing a good job piloting us today. And we'll be back with you next Tuesday with another Both Sides of the Ball.